everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my December update of my Pan Those Eyeshadows Project Pan. I'm so excited to be here with you today and to give you this update because I do feel like it is positive, although I'm still working through some things, so we'll get into that. But how this project works is at the beginning of the year, I randomly selected 5 eyeshadows from my collection to work on, and I want to work on those eyeshadows until I hit pan on them. I did give myself an opportunity to roll something out at 20 uses if I felt like I wasn't going to hit pan on it. Now, not to repeat myself, but for those of you who maybe aren't as familiar with this project or kind of what I've been going through the past year on this, I've just not been wearing as much eyeshadow as I have in the past. And so that has made this project a lot more challenging for me this year because I feel like I haven't been making as much progress as quickly as I have in the past, and I haven't enjoyed wearing my eyeshadows as much as I have in the past. And for me, this whole Project Pan thing and filming this stuff for YouTube is because I enjoy it so much. It's really just a hobby for me and I find it so satisfying. I love watching videos about it, which inspired me to start doing this almost 6 years ago. I started dabbling into project panning at the beginning of 2020, which is absolutely crazy now that we are almost at the beginning of 2026. And I have loved my panning journey so much. I think I've realized that it has come to a point with my eyeshadow project pan that I just don't love it as much. And so that being said, I do have plans for how I'm going to switch up incorporating eyeshadows into my project pans for next year. I'm gonna get into all of that at the finale of this series, which will be at the end of December, possibly beginning of January, depending on timing. And I will fill all of you in on how that's going to work. But I did feel like I couldn't just end this series early, which I kind of like thought about for a second, but it just didn't feel right. And like my personality is to see things through. I think that's why I like panning so much, is because like I need to finish something. And so I had to come back and finish this series for all of you and give you my December update. So before we get into that, I always like to talk about my numbers at the beginning of these videos, just to give some clarity around what my eyeshadow collection actually looks like. I have 238 eyeshadows, 12 of those are single, and 226 of those are across 13 different palettes. Out of those 238 eyeshadows, I've hit pan on 39 eyeshadows, which leaves my pan percentage at 16.38%. So I'm very proud of that number, and I know that by the time I film the finale video, I will have hit pan on one more eyeshadow, which will bring my eyeshadow pan number up to 40. I was hoping to hit it at this update, and I'm very, very close, but I didn't quite make it. And honestly, my timing was a little off. There is not a lot of progress across any of these eyeshadows due to that issue. I basically filmed my November update at the very end of November, and now I'm trying to film my December update at the beginning of December. So I really gave myself a very constrained time frame to make any progress on these. So I did the best that I could in the few days that I gave myself, but that gives me a little bit more time for the rest of December to maybe have a better update in the finale. I'm very confident, like I said, that I will hit pan on at least one of these eyeshadows. Maybe better it's to do it in the finale as opposed to trying to roll something new in. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the eyeshadows that are still in this project and also talk about how many times I used them over the past couple weeks. First, I'm just gonna dive right into my Jaclyn Hill Morphe Volume 2 palette. I have 3 eyeshadows in this palette. The first one is Comfort Zone, and I used this one 6 times. I'm so excited because I'm very close to hitting pan on this one. I'm wearing it today in addition to a Ladies Night eyeshadow from this palette, which I'll talk about. Basically, I lined the outer half of my eye on both my upper and lower lash line with Comfort Zone, and then I took Ladies Night and just did that on my upper lash line, and then I did a little bit of blending, and I really like how this turned out. It's giving me very much like that cat eye look without feeling like I'm wearing too much makeup. So very happy with how this turned out. I think I'm gonna probably wear this a couple more times. Once I do that, I'm very confident that I will hit pan on this, which I'm super excited because I'm pretty sure this has been in since the beginning of this project. I was working on another crease shade very similar to Comfort Zone in a different palette, which I hit pan on, and then directed my attention to this one, which had very little usage at the beginning of this project. So really excited to use it a few more times and hit pan on it and boost my pan percentage that much more. All right, the other 2 eyeshadows that I have in this palette are my Man. This one I used twice just as a blush. We've kind of talked about that a bunch over the last few updates. It's just, that's the only way I'm gonna use it. And then I also used Talia 3 times. I've used this as an inner corner highlight, and I've also kind of just used it dry with my finger and placed it all over my lid for a little bit of glittery, a little bit of shimmer. And I've enjoyed using it both of those ways. I wish I actually had more time to work on this one, because I do think I could hit pan on it. You know, it would take a little bit. It would be like a slowly but surely way to get there. But I do think I could hit pan on that one, because I do enjoy using it in more than just one way, which I find a lot of times helps me hit pan on it, because I don't feel like I'm just like in a box in how I have to use that eyeshadow. All right, the next 2 eyeshadows come from these palettes, and if you know, the numbers are quite low. So starting first with my Empowered Huda Beauty palette and the shade Legacy. I just used this one once, and I used it as a liner. I do enjoy using it as a liner, and again, this is another one, if I felt like I had much more time to work on, I do think I could hit pan on it. I do have a little bit of a dip going. I'm just not using it enough, and it's also competing for use with the shadow coming from my Il Makiage palette. This is the Kathleen Lights Disco Fox palette, and I've been working on this shade right here called Ladies Night. I can't tip this too much because I think I told this in my last update, but I accidentally dropped this palette and some of the shadows shattered. And I repressed these 2 based on the feedback from all of you saying like, hey, just try and repress them in the pan. I still need to repress this one up here, because when I went to kind of dump out any of the extra shadow that was laying on the palette itself, that one fell out. So I caught it, but I need to like smash it up and repress it, which I just haven't taken the time to do yet. So I have to just be careful how I'm holding this, but otherwise I feel like this palette is looking much better now that I've repressed. So thanks for the recommendation and the advice, because I was feeling like I didn't want to open this one up at all and use it because it was messy. So now that I fixed that problem, I'm much more open to using this palette, which I think will be good heading into next year, because I do enjoy a lot of these like shimmery shades along the outside, and there's some really pretty mattes in here. But anyways, I've only used Ladies Night the one time, and that was today. I think I already mentioned how I used it, but I just kind of layered it a little bit on top of Comfort Zone on my upper lash line to smoke it out a bit. So that is where we are in terms of my Pan Those Eyeshadows project. You know, I feel like I always give myself a little bit of a hard time when I don't have really exciting updates or it's just slow progress. I know that is just sometimes the way of panning, and I know certainly with this update that's just like the timing of it. That's just me not wearing makeup every day that I had the opportunity to, and that's okay. I feel like you all understand that more than I do. Honestly, like I feel like you're all way more understanding to be like, hey, progress takes time, and we're happy to watch like your updates no matter what. And I really appreciate you for that, because I feel like sometimes not frustrated, but just like disappointed that there isn't more to share with some of these updates. But nonetheless, I'm still using the products. I used every single eyeshadow at least one time, which I'm really happy about. And I'm feeling very optimistic for what I'm planning for next year in terms of being able to use more and different shadows in my collection, because part of this project is I feel like I've kind of been stuck with like the 5 that I've been using, though I've hit pan on a couple throughout this project this year. I feel like some of them have just been in the full 12 months, and honestly, it just gets a little boring after a while, and I'm feeling a little stuck with that. And so I think there's opportunity to break up some of that monotony and have a little bit more say-so in the eyeshadows that I'm using. This is a random selection, which is one of the reasons why I love this project so much, because you never know what you're gonna get, but I think I can figure out a way to do something similar to that. So more to come there, but that is the update for this month. I hope all of you are still enjoying this video as we get to this point and are looking forward to the December finale, and then just how I'm thinking about eyeshadows going into 2026. And honestly, you never know. 2026, I might totally change my mind and be like, I love wearing eyeshadow all the time, and that's okay. I think it is okay for preferences to change. Like I mentioned, I started panning in 2020 and I started really getting into makeup in 2012. So if I was to just stay the exact same that whole time, that just wouldn't be normal. I've grown, my life's changed tremendously in that time, and so have my preferences, and I expect them to change again, and we will adjust accordingly. We're all just figuring it out together. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching and sticking through this with me. I really appreciate all of you, and I hope you all are having the best day, and I will talk to you in my next video.